What do you mean? You become very aware of what it means that joy is a state of mind.
Joy is a state of mind. So you become able to distinguish the state of mind from the effect that that state of mind has.
Like the energy in the body.
Yes.
Ah,
right.
Okay.
Let me just illustrate this a little bit. Okay. A joyful state of mind. You know, imagine a young child, and you've just told them, or it's Christmas morning, and they got the one thing that they most wanted, right? But just intense joy, right? Or another example is a young person that just powerful attraction to this other person that they've been harboring for a long time, and now they've discovered that that's reciprocating. Oh, they're filled with joy. Now, not to confuse it with the happiness that's there, that's the sukha part of it. But if we examine the state of mind, somebody who's in a joyful state of mind, anything that is inherently pleasant is experienced as even more pleasant. Anything that is mildly pleasant is experienced as more pleasant than it would usually be. Something which might normally be perceived as more or less neutral will be experienced as pleasant. Just to breathe, it's so good to be alive. Right? And something that is mildly unpleasant is not even noticeable as unpleasant. Something that is strongly unpleasant is experienced as being only mildly unpleasant. So that is a state of mind. In that state of mind, what your attention selectively goes to, what you see, what you hear, what you think about, your awareness gravitates towards the positive and disregards the negative, just naturally. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
That's joy.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of sadness. When you're sad, a little hurt is a big hurt. And even if it doesn't hurt at all, it kind of hurts.
Right. So this amplification in that sense. And when you're saying state of mind, or the word state, you know, we use these language, but you're also, I think, implying that with all of these, because back to our word mastery, that they become part of who you are, so that when you're out in the world, you're not necessarily having to go into meditation to,
That's right.
to say, hi, excuse me, I need to go get some joy now. You know, that, the birds, or... You know.
And that's a very important point that you raised, because somebody who does samatha practice, and they sit for an hour or two in a state of joy, when they get up, that's going to stay with them. As a state of mind, it's a state that your mind exists in, which affects the way it functions and behaves and interprets things that happen.
So like I guess, yes, it might be temporary at first, but it starts to become permanent.
That's right.
There.
Yeah.
There.
It starts to become enduring.
Enduring.
There is, when you become well developed in samatha practice, and if you meditate regularly every day, you will come to a place where all five of these factors, the concentration, the awareness, the joy, the tranquility, and equanimity, remain with you. The bell rings, you get up from the cushion, and that's where you are the rest of the day. It can be affected by circumstances, but it's relatively resistant. There's a lot of resilience there. And it will gradually diminish. But if you sit down and meditate again the next day for an hour or two, and if you do this regularly, you can sustain yourself in this state. But it's not permanent. It's dependent upon causes and conditions. It can be mistaken for the end of the goal. Somebody who has very well-developed samatha can believe this is it. I'm a Buddha, right? I'm awakened, I'm enlightened. And as a matter of fact,
it's everything they wanted to meditate to get, they got, so...
And it's a really good facsimile of what it's like to be awakened. But the difference is, it's dependent on causes and conditions. They cease to meditate, and it's always diminishing, and at some point, it's gone. It is vulnerable to external circumstances. It's dependent upon, there's things that can interfere with your ability to practice. You know, you get a bad case of the flu. And of course, any sort of disorder that affects the functioning of the mind, you know, is going to interfere with that. So it's a good facsimile of what it's like to be awakened. But that's all it is. It's a facsimile dependent upon causes and conditions. And it has to be sustained by those causes and conditions. But it does, that is really what, one of the things that is very characteristic of somebody who has trained in samatha is that they are in this place all the time, at least as long as they can practice regularly and sustain it. And as a good facsimile, it can be quite convincing to everyone else. And I think, you know, if you think about it, you'll realize that there are people who have gotten to that state, decided they've arrived, announced it to everybody else, and they get a group of followers. But you look at what happens to them over the course of time, and you find that there's something wrong with this picture. They don't always.
It's not, yeah.